What is up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of Monologue with Mason. I hope you are having a great day or have a great day depending on what time you are listening to this podcast. Today we have 2 questions that I'm going to be answering. First question is how to be confident. A little bit of backstory. Was never a super confident person. Always struggled with a lot of insecurities, never thought I was good enough, was very timid, shy, things like that. And I really in the past, I'd say at least a couple of months, 6 months or so, really tried to change that and tried to become a more confident person. And so I'll be kind of sharing a couple of things that I've done in my life and a couple of habits and mindsets that I've had to shift on to help myself become more confident. And I have talked to a couple of people, and they have said that I'm definitely getting more confident and have gotten a lot more confident. And it's a lot of people who know me pretty well and so are not worried about being brutally honest with me and telling me if I haven't made no change at all. So first thing that I found helpful was knowing my strengths and weaknesses. And this was not just surface level. I mean, a year ago, 2 years ago, you could have asked me, I could have listed off strengths and weaknesses all day. But what I mean by this is diving deeper into strengths and weaknesses, diving deeper into what extent those strengths and weaknesses go. So, for example, I may know that I am decent at woodworking, but I know I'm not an expert. So is that a strength or a weakness? That's what I mean. I can't say whether that's a strength or a weakness, but I know I can build most things with wood. It may not be the best way, it may not be the most sturdy, it may not be the most efficient, it may not look the best, but I can get it done. And depending on what it is, I can make it look really good. So it's a strength in one sense, but it's a weakness depending on what I'm doing and who I'm comparing myself to. Doing those kind of deep dives, and specifically deep dives on what I'm insecure about. And really deciding, okay, why am I insecure about this? What strengths and weaknesses are surrounding this? And this helps you get a broader picture of who you are and why you might not be confident in certain ways. But beyond that, you should also push forward to correct weaknesses. So work on your weaknesses to constantly be improving yourself. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Everyone kind of knows, push to getting better at your weaknesses. But I think when you do something very intentional about getting better and adding habits into your life to get better and setting aside time to work on specific things in your life, what that does is it helps you become more confident in those areas. For example, if you are nervous about talking in front of people and being yourself, what do you got to do? You've got to be yourself in front of people. You got to work on that weakness. That does 2 things. 1, it gets you more comfortable doing that thing. If you are constantly talking in front of other people now, you are getting used to that. Now, when you go to do it next time, it's not as bad. When you do it time after that, it's not as bad. You become more and more comfortable with it as you do it. So that's one aspect it helps. Second aspect it helps, when you go to do that, you think, well, I've been working on this. I don't have to feel insecure about this as much because I know I've put in the work, or I'm putting in the work. So I know I can push myself forward. I know that I can be at least a little bit more confident in this. The other thing is, it is okay being weak. I know when I do things with people that I know I'm not super good at, and I try to do it in front of them, that was a big way that my insecurity came out. I would get really nervous doing something in front of someone. If I knew someone was very good at something, an expert at something, very talented in a certain field or area, and I knew I had to perform that thing in front of them, that made me very nervous. I was very timid. I wasn't confident whatsoever. And confidence came when I recognized that I was weak, and it was okay being weak in that area. Now, don't get me wrong, especially as men and as people, I do not think you should be weak overall. You should be strong overall. You should be pushing to improve yourself. All of those things. But in specific areas, especially if you recognize that you need to work on them, it is okay recognizing that you are weak. If I were to go work electric with someone and try to fix something electrical with someone who's an electrician, I can have two mindsets. I can say, you're an electrician, I don't know what I'm doing, oh my gosh, you're going to think horribly of me, and be self-conscious and not confident. Or I can switch my mindset and say, no, I know this is a weakness. I'd like to get better at it, which maybe is why I'm here, because I could learn from someone who's obviously more talented than me, and I'm okay being weak. You know what I can do then? I can be completely confident, be like, you know what, I'm not sure what I'm doing here, would you mind walking me through it? That comes across as confident because you're not worried about what he thinks about you anymore. You're saying, you know what, this is an area I need to work on. I recognize I'm weak here, and it's a form of confidence because you're saying, I don't mind sharing this because I'm confident enough as a person that this doesn't define me. This situation doesn't define me. This skill doesn't define me, but I would like to get better at it. So please come over here and talk me through it. That is one big way that I got more confident was being okay weak in certain areas. Knowing that I wanted to improve those, but knowing I'm not there yet. And that's okay. There's no problem. I don't have to be strong, talented, the most knowledgeable about everything to be confident. It's okay if I'm weak in a certain area. But also knowing your strengths. If I've worked a lot with wood, and I am working with wood with a carpenter who is more talented, I know my weakness and I know my strength. Well, I generally know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing in a lot of areas. I may not be as good at them, but I can be confident that I can run this board through a table saw without worrying that I'm going to do something wrong. You know what? They may still have a tip for me. They may adjust what I'm doing, all of those things, but I don't have to be like, oh my gosh, am I going to do this right? Am I holding this board right? Did I mark the numbers or mark the measurement correctly? No, be confident knowing that I've done this before. I've run a bunch of boards through a table saw. I'm okay. I can do this. So that would be one thing, is know your strengths and weaknesses and identify how you can improve those weaknesses and be okay being weak in those areas. That is completely all right. The other thing that really helped my confidence was doing something hard every single day. If I could look back, and I tried to do this as early in the day as possible, that way I had the whole day to be able to look back and say, I did this thing that was hard. I already accomplished this and this, which were both difficult. For me, it was ice baths, and it is working out. I can now look back, right now, I can look back and I can be confident because I was like, you know what? I did two things super hard today. I got into cold water. It was not fun. It made my heart beat super fast right before I got in the water. I was a little bit panicky. Not panicky, but it made me a little bit nervous. I tried to give myself excuses of why I didn't need to do it today, like I do every single day. And you know what? I did it anyway. I worked out today. I got under a bar. I lifted weights. I pushed myself to my limit physically. Those are two hard things that I did today. And I do those every single day. I can look back at those and I can be a little bit more confident because I accomplished two difficult things. I defeated my mind in that case. I told myself I didn't want to do it. I did it anyway. I can walk through life being more confident because I've already done difficult things. That's what I would say. Add one or two things a day, early in the day, that is difficult for you. Whether it's physically difficult, mentally difficult, it doesn't matter. Push through something hard. The other thing is work hard. And this kind of goes into both of the other things I talked about. Working hard in your weaknesses, working hard in doing something difficult carries over the same results. But just working hard in general, at your job, when you get home, doing hard physical labor, creating something with your hand and being very intentional about that, working on projects, accomplishing them, creating those things, you can look back and say, I can be confident because look what I've done. I just finished this project. I am working towards this project. Look at how much I've done. Not in a boastful, prideful way, but in I've accomplished this. I can be confident. I'm getting stuff done. And once again, not in an egotistical, prideful, I'm superior to all of you, but you know what? You worked hard today, so did I. I can be confident around you. I got stuff done. It just helps, even subconsciously, to help you be a little bit more confident in your life. So those three things have really helped my confidence. So really take a deep dive in identifying your strengths and weaknesses. Hold on to those strengths and remind yourself that you are talented and strong in certain areas. And remind yourself it's okay to be weak as long as it's a certain area and as long as you are pushing to improve that area. That's okay. Recognize that, and that will help your confidence a lot. Doing something hard every day sets you in that mindset of, I accomplished something difficult and I can go through life knowing that. And the third thing that I mentioned was working hard. Just being a hard worker, getting stuff done really boosts your confidence. The second question that I want to answer is, it's not as much of a question as a statement. Embrace failure, and why embracing failure is so important. Too often, especially in this society, people are too scared to fail. Why don't they start their own business? They're scared their business is going to fail. Why aren't they going to go out and attempt something difficult? They're scared they're going to fail. They don't want to fail. But I think failing is actually extremely important in having a successful life. Extremely important in even having a happy, joyful, fulfilling life. Why is that? Well, first off, failing helps you learn. Learning helps push you to be better. If you're never failing, are you truly learning something? You learn the most from your failures. Think about it. What are things that you did that you fell flat on your face? Maybe it's a test. Maybe you tried to accomplish a project. Maybe you did whatever and you failed. Looking back, what happened right after you failed? Did you learn? Or did you at least have opportunity to learn? Think about the times you've learned the most. It probably was going through something hard where you failed, where life wasn't going your way. Failure is an amazing teacher. And I think too often people try to get it perfect the first time. What I think you need to do instead is you need to push forward, try something, even if you don't have all the pieces. And yeah, you may fail at it, but you know what? Learn from those failures and hit it again. Or you may fail again. That's okay. Learn from those failures, try it again. Try it again, try it again, over and over and over and over. And it's okay if you fall flat on your face every single time. As long as you're learning something every single time, you may be failing in that little bit of time, but you're not failing overall because you're getting better and you're pushing yourself further in how you're going to accomplish things. So I think people need to have that mindset about failure, as failure is not failing overall. You're not a failure as a person. Your life is not failing. No, you failed at this little thing, and if you learn from it and get better, you're not failing anymore. In the broader sense, you're actually succeeding. You're pushing forward. You're getting things done. You're improving yourself. Now, is that failing? No, you failed at a specific thing. But that you're not failing overall in your life. I think people need to have that mindset shift. Also, if you are never failing, and I briefly kind of mentioned this, but you're never pushing yourself forward. If you're never failing, that means you're never pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. That means you're never pushing yourself to your limits. And that means you're not going to ultimately accomplish anything superb, anything crazy, anything successful. Because in order to do those things, you need to push out of your comfort zone. You need to push out of your skill set. You need to push beyond what you think you can do. And that will help you get better. But when you push outside of those things, when you push out of your comfort zone, when you push beyond your skill set, what's going to happen? You're going to fail. There's no way around that. But that's okay, because as long as you learn something, remember, you're not failing overall. You failed in a specific thing. I think that's so key to understand. So just remember, if you're not failing anything, if you're not making mistakes, are you pushing yourself? Are you trying to get better? And what extent are you going to do those things? Also, I think failure makes victory so much sweeter. When you have a success that took a while to get to, maybe let's use the gym for example. Maybe you're trying to hit a certain weight, right? And you can't get it. You can't get it. You've tried, right? You hit the gym every single day. You're working on trying to hit this weight. You're making sure your whole life's dedicated to this. You're making sure you're eating right. You're making sure you're drinking enough water. You're getting enough protein. You're getting enough in the calorie range you want, right? You're pushing. In the gym, you're pushing yourself to failure every single time. You're getting stronger. And it takes months. And every couple weeks, you try to get this weight again. And every couple weeks, you fail. Over and over and over again. Maybe a year goes by. And you know what? You walk into the gym one day and you get it. You bench press that weight. You deadlift that weight. You squat that weight. Whatever it is, you get it. Does that feel good? Does that make that victory feel better? What do you think feels better? That situation? Or saying, you know what? I wonder if I can bench 225. Walk in the gym for your first time, bench 225. You're like, oh, that's cool. That's pretty sweet. And then it goes away. It stops there. Because while that was awesome, you felt great having that victory, it stopped. Why? Because you didn't put any work in. You didn't fail leading up to it. Failing so many times leading up to that means you get that, you accomplish whatever you're doing, and it feels so much better because you know you've earned it. You know you've put in the work. You know you've failed so many times, meaning you have pushed yourself past those limits, and you kept doing that until you were able to get it. And so I think that failing is so important because it reveals how sweet our victories are and how amazing our victories are if you're pushing yourself through those failures. So failure's not a bad thing. Failure's a good thing as long as you have the right mindset. Because failure, you can learn from. Failure is your best teacher. Failure means that you're pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, beyond where you feel comfortable. And failure makes victories so much sweeter. Just remember that about failure. Don't think of failure as something negative. Think of it as something positive. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. I hope you found it helpful. Please let me know what other questions or topics you'd like me to talk about. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And we will see you next week.